Let me just... I've just given people a new link.
It says this video is private.
Hang on a mo.
This still doesn't sound right, incidentally.
Come on, where have you gone?
Oh, I see me on a stream.
Yay! And Chastity Caesars. Right, yeah, I think we're back live. Do you want to start again?
Yeah, are we blaming the cat?
I think we're blaming the cat. I think the
Yeah.
cat managed to tread on a button.
Well, they will do that. Right, so I guess I'll start again. I mean, it was just a practice. So,
Yeah, just a warm.
Yeah, there we go. Countess of Lovelace, Byron's child, enchantress of numbers, who yearned to fly. Bride of science with a brilliant mind, sharing ideas ahead of her time. I can't give you poetry, but if it's all the same to you, poetical science, that'll have to do. Numbers, said Ada, are there all around in any process, in pictures and sound. I can't give you poetry, but if it's all the same to you, poetical science, that'll have to do. Unseen worlds around us slide into view. The future was coming, and Ada knew.
love that song, Edwin.
That's as sensible as it will get.
Have you?
Thank you.
It's one of those ones that I'm sufficiently nerdy that I've read a reasonable chunk of this, and in proper awe of Turing, and on the computable numbers is remarkably approachable for a thing written in 1938 or whatever it was, and about the fairly abstruse quantities of computer science. And the argument is clear as a bell. And he's doing the speed at which he gets from this theoretical apparatus in the Turing machine to programming it with something that looks surprisingly like functional programming. Within the paper, it just goes from, all right, okay, so this is how this works, and now I'll just bootstrap this notation that is, so we can write these things as functions, and you can work out how they end up written to the tape, and you're just thinking, hang on a minute, this is an entire paper's worth of stuff in just this, and it's purely apparatus to prove that you can't solve the halting problem.
That's all of computer science right there.
Yes.
No, that paper essentially says, if I could massively oversimplify, that paper essentially says some things are unsolvable, so you'll have to employ people like Edwin for the next millennia to figure it out. It's the reason our field exists, is that we can't solve everything. Therefore, we have to figure out how to do.
It's the reason mathematicians still exist.
Yeah, right.
And
it's funny that where it came from was someone's one of Hilbert's problems.
Yeah.
It must be possible to represent mathematics algorithmically, and Turing comes along and says, no, it's not. No.
Yeah, it blows. The almost falling out of it as a lemma is Gödel's incompleteness.
Right.
It's
It's
quite.
kind of the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You thought you could get out of Gödel this way. Nah, fuck off. And he was amazing. And I've read, his presentation to the London Computing Society and the London Mathematical Society in 45 when he's talking about the work being done on the ACE, or is it 48? And the other thing that's mind-blowing about the man was he understood the ACE down to the valve level. It wasn't just, the thing I was going to say here is that it's certainly in computer science, it's almost always worth going and reading those foundational papers, because they will blow you away with how clear they are often.
They are surprisingly comprehensible, yeah. At least if you're trained in computer science, I suppose. But
some of the ones that sort of are at the bottom of the subject, they kind of they had to be written for people who didn't understand computer science.
Well, yeah,
because there was no computer science. Yeah. And have you read Ada's note on the translation? That is the one where she introduces the idea of using numbers to represent art and.
I don't think I've read that one.
No, nor have I. I was kind of like, I've read the executive summary. But from the experience of reading on computable numbers and with an application to the Entscheidungsproblem, I realised that actually there's an awful lot to be said for just going and reading the whole damn thing. Because the executive summary is interesting, but the stuff along the way is similarly fascinating. And I just wanted to know, I suppose I should just go and fucking read it, really.
There is one book I'd recommend to anyone who's kind of mathematically inclined but not a computer scientist who wants to go into this. So Charles Petzold did a book called The Annotated Turing.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is essentially
that
paper,
I have that somewhere.
But he explains it all from, I would say, quite first principles. And it's approachable. It's difficult but approachable.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
And in a different way, oh God, who was the chap behind Thinking Machines? Who hired Feynman to do some of his work? He wrote a book called The Pattern on the Stone, and that's much more about how you get from hardware to software, and that's really approachable and fascinating. And Feynman's lectures on computation are amazing as well, because he just comes at it with, I mean, it's Feynman, so he just comes at it from a completely other angle than you expect.
Yes, I always enjoy that about Feynman's.
Blows your mind.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. Yes, people, read the papers. Go and read the foundational papers of whatever the subject you're interested in is. I promise you it will be worth it. I mean, Einstein's paper on special relativity. General relativity still fucks with my head in all sorts of ways, but special relativity is just beautiful and clear. And, yeah. But I did half train as a mathematician, so I suppose that's just...
Yeah, I never got that far in studying physics. So...
Yeah, but I mean, Feynman's great because he's as a mathematician, because he's kind of secretly he's a mathematician, but he's really interested in physical. But it's all theory, and he makes beautiful maths on his way to explaining stuff. It's great. The small's gone. Yeah. Bye, Mr. Masherman. If I didn't already say goodbye. I've got no idea what I'm going to sing next. Just went off on a rant about Turing and Ada and
easily done.
The Amazing Adventures of Lovelace and Babbage. For heaven's sake, everyone should go and read them. They're wonderful, and possessed of an extensive bibliography. Have you read those?
No, people keep recommending it, and I keep not reading. I do have a big pile of books that I have bought but not read. And it might even be in that pile, to be honest. So I slowly... I mean, I get cracking on the pile, but then I just buy more books, and it just gets worse. And it's,
Hi, Ray, by the way. I think it's another of those books that reminds you of the pleasures of going and reading the sources.
Right, okay.
Because the artist has read the sources to make the cartoons, and then reports back on some of the stuff she's read and just says, you should go and read this, because Babbage in particular was mad. And prolific. Wrote bewildering amounts of stuff about all sorts of things. So he's just he must have been an astonishing... People would definitely come into parties to look at him, sort of thing.
Right.
Just amazing. Yeah. What to sing? Oh, right, yes. This is the hymn to a definitely fictional god. As opposed to most of the hymns I sing, which are hymns to probably fictional gods. My Lord, he sleeps beneath the sea. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. That is not dead which still can dream. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Well, I am a cultist and I ain't ashamed. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. But you should fear the day he learns your name. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness of madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. So let's trace out the elder sign. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. He hasn't risen yet, but he might this time. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. One of these days when the stars come right, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. He will arise and he'll bring the night. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Yea, yea, Cthulhu Fertan, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Yea, 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 Fertan, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness, let the madness, let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. Let the madness of Cthulhu devour me. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you.
It's almost tempting to unmute and join in the chaos at the end.
That would have been good, yeah.
Yeah, I thought don't do that without asking first, though.
Well, there's a point of principle, and anyone who might guest in the future, you're more than welcome to join in that last verse once it starts going chaotic.
Yeah.
Or chthonic.
Yeah.
Old ones, we're the old ones, we're the modern. Sorry. Oh. I'll go and sit in a corner and contemplate what I've done.
My home only has naughty corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you've got a bunch of stringed instruments in that naughty corner.
That is, yes. There's 3 ukuleles and an actual guitar.
Right.
But I don't really know how to play the guitar. So, I mean,
you think one day you might graduate.
Yeah. I mean, I could do 3 chords on it, which is good enough for rock and roll, I suppose. Yeah.
Ray, this is Edwin Brady. Edwin is a filker, writer of excellent comic songs, and also lecturer in computer science at St Andrews University.
Yeah.
Lecturer?
Yes.
Professor?
Hello. I'm a reader.
A reader? What does that mean?
The great thing about being a reader is that nobody knows what it means. It's basically between senior lecturer and professor.
Right.
And it's a very pleasing job title.
Yeah.
Firstly, because nobody knows what it means, and secondly, it's, you can make the jokes like, "Oh, my primary school teachers will be proud that I finally managed," all that sort of thing.
So, are you a reader in recent runes?
That would be good, wouldn't it? I mean, I guess I am in a way.
I can say, yeah. I think it probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much, apart from Ada Lovelace, how much of your academic work ends up in your songs?
It does. I think it does sneak in from time to time. Not actively, but Well, it does actively if people at Philcons plant seeds in my head.
I don't know to what you are referring.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of doing something less geeky, but maybe I should do this educational song.
I think as well, it's that thing, isn't it? That as a without going off almost into the land of woo woo, as a songwriter, everything in your life informs your art.
Yes, I guess that's true. Yeah.
If you sort of like go, well, that part of it shouldn't, because it's niche, then you are, in a sense, you're cutting yourself off from a chunk of what is, your life. I mean, lots of people don't live to work, but still, the stuff that happens at work is a huge part of.
Oh, and a lot of it is going to be familiar to people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, if anyone works in an office, it doesn't matter what they do in that office, there will be familiar things.
Yeah, I mean that Raisins song.
Oh well, I mean that's just
universal
people being irritating.
Yeah,
people being irritating in ways that don't really matter, but still, just if you're having a bad day, it's just
yeah. There's an account I follow on Mastodon that occasionally posts these wonderful little modern day blessings.
All right.
So it's things like I can't think of any off the top of my head now, but it is things like, may there be just enough milk left in the bottle.
Yeah. May the traffic light go green just as you arrive.
Yeah. May all your traffic lights be green, and that sort of thing. Just really sweet little, in the same way as those curses are quite mild, but would be bloody annoying if they were having
the mildest I could possibly think of. And by the way, about that song, I have a separate file where I just write down anything I think of. So I've got 3 or 4 more verses that you just swap in at any moment.
Just more curses.
Yeah, because it's unashamedly a list song.
Yes.
And if you've got a list song, you can go on for days.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is then working out which are the best bits. It's like, if someone tries to sing you the full version of Old Time Religion, then for God's sake, leave the room.
Yeah.
Get a refreshment.
Make sure
People
they
bang on about singing long old ballads, but believe me, the full version of Old Time Religion is longer than that.
Yeah.
I always find with list songs like that, the fun is coming up with new ones on the fly, but although that's trickier with something as where the verse is as long as the Raisins thing, isn't it? Because you've got too many words to write. You can't
Yeah, that is actually something I keep doing, and it's like puzzle solving again. It's that I've got this thing I want to say, and I want it to fit this rhythm perfectly, and I just think it sounds better if there's lots of words. It's just so. Yes, and
you're pretty good about not doing. I mean, I'm as a ballad singer, I take pride in the fact that sometimes my 7-stress line has got 8 in it. And
I feel like I haven't solved the puzzle properly.
Right.
I've done that.
But part of the aspect of writing in ballad meter is if you stick to it too strictly, then you're writing a fucking hymn in common meter.
Yeah, that's not necessarily what you want.
That's not necessarily what you want. So if you stick that extra beat in or drop that beat or whatever it might be, then it's not the end of the world, because it is a much more free and easy poetic meter. But strict meter and comic songs seem to go together incredibly well, because there is that funniness of it. There is that, a joke is about tension and release, and music is about tension and release. And when you've got the music doing the tension release, the joke doing the tension release, and also that tension of a fairly constrained meter and the release of you coming up with that perfect rhyme at the end of it, or that perfect run of words that fits this stupid meter, it just adds to the humour of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, the really contrived rhyme.
Yes.
That's something I'd love to be able to do, and will practice doing until I can do it. because I love a really contrived rhyme.
Or the ones that the ones that finish halfway through a word.
Or the Tom Lehrer style.
Yeah.
When you attend a funeral, it is sad to think that sooner or
later.
later.
Oh God, yeah.
That
There's
sort of
a
thing.
run in. I hold your hand in mind. Is it no? The one about loving you when you're old and grey.
Oh, since I still appreciate you,
Let's find love. There's this run of rhymes. And this possibility of total sterility will lead to futility and a sense of futility. So let's act with agility while we still have facility, or we'll soon reach senility and lose the ability. And it runs on for and you just sat there in awe of the. I'm doing the Manchester. Yeah, absolutely, Marion. Another example of that. Fuck ton of words, just stacking up perfectly scanned. And if you once wrench the rhythm. Yeah. The emphasis on the wrong syllable is just.
Oh yeah, I hate that when someone is so focused on the rhyme that the syllable's wrong. It's yeah. But again, it's you haven't quite solved the puzzle properly. That's
there was in Child of the Library. The reason it's the daughter of a pirate king and not Pippi Longstocking. Although she rhymes, the rhythm gets wrenched if you use the full name. So it's got to be the daughter of a pirate king and make it an illusion rather than directly naming the character. Because otherwise, you're right, you haven't solved the puzzle. You've just gone,
And adding a little bit of mystery, making the listener do a bit of work.
I'm going to knock that square peg into that round hole. It's just...
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your latest problem that you've solved in song?
Well, I was.
Do you like that link? That was almost good, wasn't it?
I was thinking of not doing the one you're probably referring to. I was actually thinking of doing an Office song.
Oh, that would work too.
Yeah, so. I mean, I probably should do the one you're referring to, given that you put it in the description. But
I don't feel obliged.
I'll do this one. This is.
You can do it next time.
I mean, people in the chat are all over the world, aren't they? So some may actually be in the office. And probably don't want to hear about the horrors of office life. But I do have a song here about the horrors of office life. And it's about the meeting. Productivity was high in the office. This morning we were truly on a roll. I just resolved an issue that had bothered me for weeks. We were marching on towards another goal. But the afternoon was rudely interrupted by a chorus of "You've got mail." You called us to the conference room because you had some facts and you needed to inform us straight away. So now I try to remain open-eyed as you wade through 97 PowerPoint slides, and I dream of all the other ways that I could spend my life beside the meeting that could have been an email. You didn't even order any coffee. How do you think we'll stay awake? You thought that you could bribe us all with sugar and with snacks, but 17 slides in, we're out of cake. I'm pretty sure you said all this last Monday. Do you really need to show us all those graphs? Still, at least I got here early for a good seat at the back with a crossword to help the hours pass. While I try to remain open-eyed as you wade through 97 PowerPoint slides, and I dream of all the other ways that I could spend my life beside the meeting that could have been an email. Last bullet covered, projectors powered off. Thank goodness it's time to get on with our jobs. Oh God, no, someone's asked you a question. You were nearly done and now there's more to say. Did you know that when you're not around we like to get things done? But I've written off what's left of today, and instead I try to remain overnight as you wade through 97 PowerPoint slides. And I dream of all the other ways that I could spend my life besides a meeting that could have been an email. Would anybody notice if I disappear? If you've got some information then you have made it clear. I expect you are wondering why you called us here to the meeting that could have been an email.
I'm just going to share my screen with you.
We've all been there, haven't we? We've all been trapped.
And if you look over here now, I can't fucking share the screen, so I can't even do the joke. I suspect you're wondering why you called us here is just such a fantastic line.
I actually stole that from Spike Milligan. But you know, if you're going to steal from the masters.
It's definitely a good line to steal from. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Oh God, I just can't be arsed. It's asking me for my password so I can share the screen, but the joke is already passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we had Tom Benjamin White on, he did his "Could you really not put this in an email?" And I love the fact that essentially the same premise supports two really cracking songs.
I mean, yeah, it's you're Robert Beckwith, of course. You know Robert Beckwith because he was guest of honour at the Philcott. He said to me at some point that in fact I think he said this on the stage that at some point him and me are going to write the same song. We're just going to take the same premise, take the same joke, and write pretty much the same song.
Yeah.
And we'll both be thrilled when that happens.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think there's something delightful about that thing when people go. I mean, a friend of mine wrote a fantastic song based in Essex. Wrote a fantastic song called "The Mice and the Cheese" about the tragedy of the commons. Well, about the parody of the tragedy of the commons, really, because the tragedy of the commons doesn't really exist in real commons. But that's a rant for another day. And I went to a Peggy Seeger gig at the Sage, and she sang a song about the mice and the... because she remembered hearing Tony singing his song, but forgot to get his name or the words off him. So the idea came knocking at the back of her head, and so she said it was too good a song, it was too good an idea not to use, but she got no way of whoever the song was from. So I had the pleasant duty of in the interval, because it was a folk gig, so she was selling CDs,
right?
Manning the stand. So I went back and said, "The Mice and the Cheese song. You need to find a chap called Tony Wynn in Essex, because he's the guy who wrote it." And she went, "Of course he was." So it's just, but her song was, for all it was the same premise and the same thing, was a very different song, and it was, the world was a better place for having both of them in it. Do you know what I mean? I love it. Yeah.
It reminds me of a thing. I tried a few years ago. I read a book called "Steal Like an Artist" by Austin Kleon. I don't know if you know this one.
I don't know. I don't.
Well, it's the basic it's the premise is in the title. But it's how stealing from one person. Well, that's stealing, but you steal from 1,000. Then that's influence. Yeah. But one thing he says, and I read this just as I was getting back into writing songs. One of the things he says is, if you don't know what to write about, take a song you like, take the premise of the song, do your own thing with it. Yeah. And I did that deliberately for a bit, and now I think I do that accidentally. Yeah.
There's several things that can go on from there. But yeah, and there's the piece of advice I was given as a folk singer. Don't be afraid to try and exactly copy the source you got a song from, because you can't.
Right. Yeah.
You can't help but bringing yourself to it. Don't
He
worry
says that
about
in
trying
his
to
book as
develop
well,
a style. Just bother about doing it as well as you can.
Yeah.
And that you can't help but do it in your style.
Yeah.
Just because that, we'll come back to life experience, don't we? Debut songs about valency comedy from the Zen and Henderson books are very close to the same time, but from different directions. Exactly, Gary. And there's no one has copyright on ideas. Otherwise, there would be one love song. People are still finding new ways to tell someone that they love them.
Yeah.
Or that they're, Lewis Capaldi is still finding new ways to write sensitive love songs that are very, very different from what Ed Sheeran's doing, but they're essentially the same topic. It's just, can't. There's always room for more songs, I think. That's
absolutely,
where I'm going.
yes.
But yeah, I like that idea of, just steal. Don't worry about it. Just steal. Right, speaking of stealing. Okay, chat. Number between 1 and 261. I'll take the first 2 for my next 2 songs. From Rise Up Singing. Pick a page number. Now we wait for chat. Are we still live?
There's a bit of lag.
Yeah. Of course, I'm in top chat mode, which might not decide to show people just posting numbers.
I've just noticed I am as well.
36 and 200, right? That's it, 36 and 200. Let's see, what's on 36? 36 is Ecology, which... one I half know, but really don't know the tune well enough. No, I have no idea about the tunes of those. Oh, and we end up with one I've sung before on here, but I don't care because it's too damn good. If I make a note in the thing, then next time I can avoid it. But this time I've not made a note, so it's all right. Hail the day so long expected, hail the day of full release. Zion's walls are now erected, and at watchmen publish peace. Throughout Shiloh's wide dominions, hear the trumpet loudly roar. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Babylon is fallen, fallen is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. All the merchants stand in wonder, one day this has come to pass. Murmuring like the distant thunder, crying, oh, alas, alas. Swell the sound, ye kings and nobles, priests and people, rich and poor. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Blow the trumpet on Mount Zion, Christ is come a second time, ruling with a rod of iron those who now as foes combine. Mabel's garments we've rejected, and our fellowship is o'er. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. more. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. Yay. Hey, they really don't write hymns like that anymore, do they?
Oh, I always love the harmonies too. You always made me want to go and get one of these things and learn how to do that, and then I remember I've got 100 other things I want to learn, so just add it to the list.
Well, I can recommend it. It's great fun, and
absolutely, great to listen to.
But it's going to do several things, even if you never go out and perform with one. It's going to improve your timing.
Sure.
And it's going to improve your ability to find harmonies. And possibly you might find yourself, once you start being in a harmony frame of mind, you might end up writing tunes that are more interesting to harmonise with as well. Although I don't know if that will happen. But certainly it will massively improve timing, because you just have to.
Because there's no option,
There's really no option. You'll get good at it, or you'll throw the looper across the room and never use it. But I can recommend it.
When I do recordings, I try to harmonise occasionally, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and I haven't worked out what it is that makes it work when it does work.
Well, that's one of those things where fucking about with a looper will definitely help, because you'll think so much faster.
Yeah.
You know, you do a thing and then you do a harmony, and you can at that point listen back to it and go, right, no, maybe I should have done that. And they are great practice tools.
Yeah.
You know, the number of people I know who have loopers that they just use for putting down a basic rhythm phrase and then playing lead guitar over the top for 4 bars and getting locked into that groove and all the kind of things, all the different ways you can practice with that thing locked down, because that's locked down, and then you can look at what particular bit of something you are working on, because you don't have to worry about that and all that kind of stuff. I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who's a fiddler who happily spends hours in a day practicing scales. And I said, why are you practicing? What's the benefit in practicing scales? He said, well, the thing about scales is because they are absolutely unvarying in some sense, I can isolate a particular thing I want to work on, and everything else about it is automatic.
Okay.
So I can concentrate on my bowing. I can concentrate on finger placement. I can concentrate on this. I can concentrate on that. I can concentrate on how I phrase it, and then the hand I'm working on, in a sense, is this hand is doing its thing automatically, and this hand is the thing that I'm working on, and various other aspects. You know, I'm all sorts of things. So although it sounds like he's just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and that must be monumentally boring. In his head, as someone who's accomplished at practicing, that's not what's happening. And I found that. There's not really an equivalent for a singer. Simon is an accomplished practicer, clearly. But I'm kind of like. And looping kind of does some of that. It locks down and goes, so that's there, that's my rhythm section, that's my whatever it is, that's the tune that I want to harmonise against. And I'm going to keep repeating that chorus far more times than I will ever sing it in real life. And I'm going to try and keep finding new harmonies to layer up on it. And indeed, vocal doubles that need to be very, very tight in terms of timing, and all sorts of stuff you can do with that basic loop. And then you can also use it as performance. But as a practice tool, loopers are great.
Yeah, I totally believe all that.
Yeah.
Uh,
If
that
you've
actually
got an
reminds
audio
me of,
interface and an iPad, you've got no excuse.
right. You were actually talking about that, the essentially knowing the fundamentals. You got to get the fundamentals completely down and then practice something else on top of it. Reminds me of my favorite book on the game of Go. I don't know if there's any Go players.
Kageyama.
Kageyama. Lessons in the Fundamentals of Go.
It's a beautiful book. Yeah.
There are two things about. I mean, I love the style it's written in. It's written like your grumpy granddad telling you off all the way through, which I just love that style of writing.
Yeah.
But the main point of the book is a lesson that you can learn about, a lesson that works for everything, which is if you don't know the fundamentals, forget doing the clever stuff.
Yes.
You have the fundamentals completely. Thing you can do without thinking, then you can start learning the good stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
recommend
can't read
that book a lot.
ladder.
Right, that's what he starts with, a ladder, which is a very simple thing that you just think, I can do that. And you think that, and then the next paragraph is him telling you off for thinking that, because he knows what you were thinking. And it's full of that stuff. And I recommend it even to non-Go players, just to read the preambles in the chapters about...
a similar book that I recommend to people who are even vaguely interested in anything like professionalism in any field is Why You Lose at Bridge by S.J. Simon.
Okay.
Who also wrote with Carol Brahms, wrote some brilliant comic novels, Don't Miss Disraeli and No Bed for Bacon and some other stuff. And he's... It's a sort of fundamental bridge book. He introduced what later became a very common style of writing comic bridge books and comic instruction of a cast of characters who have their flaws and foibles and stuff like that. But and that section of the book is great. But the previous section on just having a professional mindset. Because he was a professional gambler. He went and played rubber bridge for large amounts of money and earned quite a large chunk of his living doing that. And it's really, really interesting and largely applicable to more than just playing bridge. And also David Hearn and... oh, God, I can't remember the bill, someone or other, on being a photographer, which is a book of... it's essentially an extended interview with a professional photographer. And again, it's about how to be a professional.
Yeah, I found it interesting how a lot of these things transfer. So, for example, like having done a couple of Filk concerts now, it's amazing how much of my life as an academic giving lectures has somehow transferred to that in a way I can't quite put my finger on, but just the sort of the interaction with the audience, perhaps.
Well, you're kind of, in that respect, because you've spent all that time doing lectures, you're kind of ahead of the game when it comes to the chat between the songs.
Oh, yeah, I have absolutely no trouble just talking rubbish between...
Yeah. But you don't talk rubbish. That's the thing, isn't it?
Padding out the time available. Padding... That's a skill you need as an academic sometimes. Did I say that out loud? I didn't say that out loud.
This is a 1 hour lecture and I've got 40 minutes of material.
Right.
I discovered my conference talks went better when I was doing a 40-minute slot or whatever, I would prepare 25 minutes of material.
Yeah.
And then throw up the questions slide.
And
that's when I discovered what I thought.
Yeah. The reality is people don't mind if you finish early anyway.
Yeah, and the organisers love you if you finish early.
Yeah.
And if the questions thing is interesting, then you've automatically got some nice hallway track stuff going on. Just we heard nothing. This lecture could have been an email. This meeting, by the way, this meeting here could not have been an email.
No, indeed.
This is an important, vital, massively important to the world. This meeting,
indeed.
It's your turn to sing something.
Oh yes, okay. Shall I do something about professionalism? A professional.
Why not?
I mean, this is where we were going. This is about a professional game player, in fact, who nobody will have heard of on account of the fact that I made him up. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine and listen to his tales as he sits at the barroom table, nursing his golden ale, recounting how he'd take on the best and travel far and wide. He's lived an extraordinary life, and you wouldn't think it to look at him now. But when he was in his prime, he was the rock, paper, scissors champion of the world in 1979. He was unseated that year, thought he was out of the hut. His rock had become predictable, his scissors always blunt, but he fought his way to the final. When it was time to decide, the paper he threw was inspired, and when the top players came up against him, they felt he was reading their mind. He was the rock, paper, scissors champion of the world in 1979. Reliving his former glories with a wistful look in his eyes. Don't play him for money, he'll take the prize. And you wouldn't think it to look at him now, but when he was in his prime, he was the rock, paper, scissors champion of the world in 1979. He was the rock, paper, scissors champion of the world in 1979.
Yeah, I love that song. Absolutely
you.
love that song.
You know that one. This sort of thing happens occasionally. That particularly that opening of that one came out of me making a mistake while trying to write it and thinking, "Oh, that sounds cool."
Right, well, I've got page 200, and there's actually a song on page 200.
Ooh.
So I'd best sing it that I know the tune of. So 1, 3, 2, 4. There we go. I'm going to have to start keeping stats of this at some point. You know, it's just that eventually I'm going to have to get another songbook. Deep blue sea, Willie, deep blue sea. Deep blue sea, Willie, deep blue sea. Deep blue Willie, deep blue sea. It was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Wrap him up in a silken shroud. Wrap him up in a silken shroud. Wrap him up in a silken shroud. It was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Dig his grave with a silver spade. Dig his grave with a silver spade. Dig his grave with a silver spade. It was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Lower him down with a golden chain. Lower him down with a golden chain. Lower him down with a golden chain. It was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Deep blue sea, Willie, deep blue sea. Deep blue sea, Willie, deep blue sea. Deep blue sea, Willie, deep blue sea. It was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Yes, it was Willie that got drowned in the deep blue sea. Yes. Deep blue sea. Dead simple song. That's brilliant in a club where you've got a lot of singers, because of course you get harmonies on the verses as well.
Ah, yes.
Can't do that bit. Now it's 5 past 10, and I'm normally winding up by now, and I've got at least 2 more songs that I kind of have to sing.
Oh well.
So, do you have?
We better get cracking.
We better start singing more songs quickly.
Should I? I mean, I feel I have to do this mathematics. Should we do some mathematics?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had this peer reviewed, but well, I've had a Piers reviewed.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I liked it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the maths checks out.
Yeah.
It's called QED. And it's I'm going to say in advance in case it doesn't make sense when I'm singing it. It's an attempt to prove that 99 bottles of beer will reach a conclusion. Also, I mean, I know one should not apologise in advance, but I only wrote this last week, and so I don't really know what the tune is. So this is going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you.
I should point out that's true for all values of 99.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yes. When the singer launches into the tune and you're counting the bottles of beer, you wonder, will this all be over soon? Please God, let the end be near. Will we ever be delivered from this aggravating rhyme? Or will the song continue until the end of time? However many bottles of beer are on the wall, will there come a day when there are no more left to fall? There's an end to this production. We'll check it by induction, starting at the base. If there's 0 beers on the wall, the verse does not make sense. So if there's 0 beers on the wall, the song must be at the end. Will we ever be delivered from this aggravating rhyme? Or will the song continue until the end of time? However many bottles of beer are on the wall, will there come a day when there are no more left to fall? I went to the professor, who told me that for any end, when we work on its successor, we can assume the song will end. So all we have to show, as the singers crooning on, in every verse we know that the count goes down by 1. Will we ever be delivered from this aggravating rhyme? Or will the song continue until the end of time? However many bottles of beer are on the wall, will there come a day when there are no more left to fall? That proves it QED, but it doesn't mean we're free. If your end's absurdly high, you'll still be here until you die. Please let us be delivered from this aggravating rhyme. Don't let the song continue until the end of time. However many bottles of beer are on the wall, I look forward to the day when there are no more left to fall. It's tempting to repeat the chorus over and over at that point, but no.
Love it. Of course, I
I
found
love
myself
these
thinking,
challenges, though. It's like, do this extremely technical thing, but do it to music.
yes.
Why not have a go?
And proof by induction is beautiful.
It is beautiful, and students are very bad at explaining it, because they always start by saying assume k equals k plus 1, and there's a no, that doesn't make sense. But the principle behind it is just lovely.
And then you kind of get recursive algorithms fall out of it at the other end as well.
It is, in a very real sense, the same thing.
Yes.
So the fact that you're allowed to assume it works, provided it's a bit smaller.
Yes.
Bit
Even when you
closer
don't
to the
yet know
base.
and in recursion, you don't yet know the answer. You
Yeah.
just assume that because you can reduce it by 1,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Yes. And it's that the bit where it clicks, where you think, oh right, even though I haven't written it, I'm allowed to assume it works.
Yes.
Wow. And then you get that, and then everything, it unlocks everything.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favourite things about teaching this stuff to the university students is that they come in completely mystified, and then a light goes on and they get it, and it's really satisfying to see that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember the sort of classic one, the classic recursive algorithm, and I never understood why it was interesting, is, solving the factorial via recursion.
It's always factorial.
But it's so fucking easy with iteration. It's not. Whereas solving Hanoi by recursion.
I think the only reason people...
That's an interesting problem.
It's different, yeah. I think it's just because it's so tiny and it's easy to understand. I don't like using it either, so...
Yeah. But just all those sort of... And then once you reach a certain point, it's like, all right, how the fuck do I get rid of the recursion and find an iterative solution to this thing? Because I've not got much memory here, or whatever it may be.
Well, that's where what you need is Lisp.
Yeah, and tail recursion and all those
tail
fun things.
recursion.
Yeah.
And continuations and
Oh god, the moment I wrap my head around continuations with season schema, I think, or is it little schema?
It's one of them. I mean,
The
yeah,
moment call CC suddenly became, oh, you're just returning by calling a function. Okay, that's fine.
call CC is utterly mystifying until it suddenly makes sense,
Till it's
and you
not.
think. So it's a threshold concept.
Yeah.
So threshold concept being a thing where when you get it, you cannot understand how you ever didn't get it. So,
Fractions.
Yeah.
Is your classic. Fractions is that classic gate for people who are going to be good at maths and people who aren't. And they miss that one lesson or that sympathetic teacher. And suddenly the whole, from my point of view, wonderful thing is closed to them. Because, at least in school mathematics, the problem you've got is everything builds on everything else, and there's no slack in the timetable. And if you miss that one concept, you're buggered. Yes, tree algorithm, we're walking trees and stuff like that, Michael. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's one bit of our second year course where, in fact, this happens in Java, where you're writing an iterator for trees in Java, and you just have to do all of the stack manipulation yourself because Java doesn't let you do it any other way. And that's the point where the students start to appreciate that recursion might actually be important.
Yes.
Because it's horrible to do. It's horrible to do it any other way.
I did a brute force non-deterministic Sudoku solver as my first non-trivial thing that used continuations. So you were just snacking the continuation of when if you reach the end, you go with the first guess because you've got the Sudoku's got various forcing digits, and eventually you'll reach a point where there are two possibilities that you've not managed to eliminate. So you just pick the first one and have a continuation of the. If you reach the point where you can't go any further, just return to this point and pick the second one, and it's not solving it like a human. Well, I mean, I've solved it like a human. I'm a human. I sat down, I wrote a program that solves all Sudoku. But it's kind of cheating. But it was really satisfying to work out how to make that algorithm work, to how to do that non-deterministic search. So
because you fundamentally understood the thing, the mechanism in the language that will then make you do all the interesting things. Yeah. And
then you discover that actually we've got continuations. That means you can't really have concurrency. Fuck you. Well, you can't have parallelism, can you?
And that's the rabbit hole deepens.
Yeah. I didn't really get much further than that, to be honest. I enjoyed the reasons. I've read all the foo schemas, the little schema, the season schema, and the reason schema, and they've all made my head go, what? I met a chap. Sorry, we're going off on very geeky tangents. I met a chap called Jim Wyrick, rest in peace.
Oh yeah,
and he was taught advanced Fortran by Steele and Felison. And what they did was in the first lesson they implemented Scheme.
That's how you do
in
it,
Fortran, and then went through the little schema. In the lectures, I would have. I was thinking, what a fantastic way to learn. It's just.
Well, if I can name drop for a moment, I have on not this bookshelf, so I can't grab it. I have a signed copy of The Little Prover by Dan Friedman, which he left in my hotel room. Well, it's left at the hotel, and it says, "Thank you for Idris."
Oh, I say, is that the?
He's the little schema guy. So yeah.
Is that the fifth in the series?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. I shall seek it out.
And I just thought I'll never read this book, but I will treasure that signed copy. And I was thrilled with that.
If you are, chat, remotely interested in
sorry,
computer
chat.
science, and you're starting from not knowing much computer science, the little schema, the season schema, the reason schema, and certainly the little and season schemas are fantastic books for making your head explode and understand something new that you
But
didn't
in a nice,
understand
friendly
before.
way.
Yeah.
Nice,
Really,
friendly, conversational style.
it's kind of like the what's his name? The chap who wrote all the puzzles books. With the birds that turned into combinators and stuff like that. But another one that starts with these dead simple. My headphones have just died. You can probably still hear me.
I can, yes.
I need to find some batteries.
Oh, right.
Edwin, sing a song while I go and fetch some batteries.
Oh, okay. I guess I could do that. I've got a song lined up about the end of the world because why not? This is the scientifically predicted end of the world, and it's called 10 billion years, and it's also kind of a song for the introverts. Nice cheery one for you there. And the thing is, I read it up on it. It's between 5 and 7.5 billion. So, get that email sent, get that thing done.
Yeah, but Fermi estimate's fine. It's right. Order of magnitude. Everything's fine.
Moisturise me. Yes.
I mean,
I recognise the reference.
7.5 million years and 10 million years are the same number as far as astronomers are concerned.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, heck. I'm going to sing. I'm not going to sing the last two remaining songs. I'm going to finish with this one, I think. And have you got a good night song, Edwin, or shall we wind up after this?
I that was going to be my good night song. So
Oh, right, okay.
So we can.
I will sing a good night song. Well, a last song of the night, and then we'll wind up. Thank you all so much for swinging by. Thank you for putting up with me derailing it into massively geeky directions, because it's been a long time since
I can't help encouraging that, I'm afraid. So.
I do miss having people to talk comp sci with, so and stuff. So I'm really not brilliant at. Oh, what's going on here? My buttons are not doing what I want them to. Oh well, I'll be fine. It'll be fine. This is a song that I'm going to sing. It's not normally what I sing goodnight with, but I'm going to sing it and sing goodnight with it. Where are we? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Heel yo ho, boys, let her go, boys, bring her head round into the weather. Heel yo ho, boys, let her go, boys, sailing homeward to Mingulay. What care we, boys, how white the minches? What care we, boys, the wind and weather? When we know that every inch is closer homeward to Mingulay. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, bring her head round into the weather. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, sailing homeward to Mingulay. Wives are waiting by the pier head, gazing seaward from the heather. Bring her head round, and we'll anchor ere the sun sets on Mingulay. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, bring her head round into the weather. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, sailing homeward to Mingulay. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, bring her head round into the weather. Heel ya ho, boys, let her go, boys, sailing homeward to Mingulay. There you go, the Mingulay boat song. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's chucked money in the hat and been fantastic sponsors, and meaning I can pay Edwin some money for coming to this meeting that could not have been an email.
I'll send you an email, yeah.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And next week, I have the feeling, I need to check, I have the feeling I won't, I'm very sorry about this, I won't be doing anything, because I think that night Angeline Morrison is playing in that Sheffield, and I have every intention of going and seeing her doing her thing. Bear with me a second. Live. Let me just confirm. No, that's in Bristol. Yellow Arches on March the 6th. It will be a solo session. No guest. And that will be that. And on the 15th, I've got a flea treatment cats. On the 22nd, I'm joined by Australian filker Daniel Kelly. Almost our last chance before the clocks change and make things much, much worse. So that will be great. I don't think I've got anything. And definitely 29th is Good Friday, and that's Sheffield Sesh Fest. And if you've got nothing else on at Easter, if you're not going to EasterCon, and you fancy coming and singing folk songs and listening to folk tunes and doing all that kind of stuff, get your ass to Sheffield, because it's a great, great festival. Highly recommended. So I won't be doing anything here on Friday night. I'm running a big session on the Saturday night, which will be great fun. And that puts us into April. Dear God, I'll look at what's happening in April later. I've definitely got someone on in April. 'Twas on one April evening, just as the sun was rising. 'Twas on one April evening I heard the small bird sing. No, I need to check. I'm going to check all my messages and go, have I agreed anything with you? Because I've not put it in my diary. ADHD is great. I once got a guest slot at one of the virtual cons during lockdown. Don't know if you've heard about this.
I have heard about this, yes.
And completely forgot until 5 minutes before the set. And went on and did the set, because thankfully this studio's always set up. But it was definitely a moment.
If that happened to me, I'd be likely to be out somewhere, just kind of wandering around the town or something. You know?
Yeah. Luckily, I was at home. It could have been so much worse. Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Just tapped me on the shoulder online and said, "Aren't you supposed to be doing your slot? They're going a bit spare." Ah. So yeah, if something like that happens in the future, it'll be entirely my own fault. And I'll anyway, we're going off on tangents. Edwin, are you doing any filky things online in the foreseeable future?
I think I have any. I sometimes agree to do these concerts, which are always enormous fun. I sometimes go to online filk circles that anyone can go to, but I don't actually know which ones I'll be doing. Yep. So the short answer is no, I don't think so.
Right. Are you this weekend? Am I right in thinking it's Marilisa's Wiggle?
Is that next weekend? I think it's next weekend. I can't go to that one, unfortunately.
There's a thing.
I'm just going to have a look in my email, unless I don't know if Marilisa's still around and can tell us. But
well, actually, I might have a look at the Discord and see the schedule.
Oh, here we are, Saturday, 9th March.
It's a Swiggle on the 9th, yes. Oh, I might be able to make that.
I have just got back from that London, so it's it's if I'm going to go down to London, I need, because it's a bit of a trek. I need more than one reason to go.
You need a following wind.
Yeah, twice in 2 weeks is a bit silly. Yeah. So
I might make it to the Swiggle, but I'm making no promises. I think that's us covered, isn't it? Next week, live stuff, me, blooper, possibly a guest, unlikely.
I'll see you in the chat.
See you in the chat, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be splendid.
And so, in case I forget, thank you for having me. This has been loads of fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much for saying yes. It's always best when people say yes. Gary in the chat has pointed out it was him running it, and he was the person going spare.
All right.
I wholeheartedly yet again apologise. I'm not stepping up to do virtual anymore, I'm afraid, Gary. But anyway, this is another thing. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to press the fade to black button, and I'm going to stop streaming and stuff. Been an absolute pleasure. So we do the wavy thing.